Robin Sparstow was a lifelong, passionate advocate for whales. During the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, he produced a series of documentary films about the plight of whales and the global movement to save them.
The sperm whale is Connecticut's official state animal. CONNY is the nickname for the life-size ferrocement model of an adult male sperm whale built in 1976 on the grounds of the Science Center of Connecticut in West Hartford. For the first 20 years of his existence, CONNY did not have a spout. That unnatural circumstance changed in 1996. A special project was undertaken to refurbish CONNY for a new generation of Connecticut school children and to give him a spout, so he'd look more like a real sperm whale should. After months of preliminary planning at the Science Center facility, a small corps of dedicated volunteers, working mostly on weekends, began in the spring of 1996 the task of putting a new face on this venerable whale model. They mounted to his back with buckets of new black-colored cement to patch up and cover over the worn spots, and then to coat the entire surface with a fresh covering of waterproof paint. I'm Robin Sparstow, the Director Emeritus of the Cetacean Society International. I'm standing on the grounds of the Science Center of Connecticut on Trout Brook Drive in West Hartford, in front of the only life-size ferrocement model of a sperm whale any place in the world. This whale we call CONNY, C-O-N-N-Y, and it was constructed 20 years ago by volunteers from the Cetacean Society, spending over 5,000 hours over a period of a whole year to create this realistic model of the sperm whale, which is Connecticut's official state animal. It served for 20 years as a symbol of conservation and a springboard for education here on the grounds of the Science Center. And now, in 1976, this is April 27th, 1996, 20 years later, we've engaged in a joint project of the Cetacean Society and the Science Center to refurbish this whale model and to make it enhance its quality and its effectiveness as an educational exhibit. And I just want to talk a little bit with a couple of the people who have been very much involved in this new project to rededicate CONNY to help increase people's consciousness about whales and continue to preserve and protect them around the world. I'm standing here now with two people who are very much involved in this rejuvenation project for CONNY. On the far right here is Bob Victor. Bob Victor was the engineer who designed the original building of CONNY back 20 years ago in 1976. Bob is still an active member of the board of directors of the Cetacean Society. It was the Connecticut Cetacean Society then. Now it's the Cetacean Society International. And our model of the whale is known around the world. Next to me here is Ken Thickman, who is a candidate for Eagle Scout. And he represents sort of the new generation getting involved here in the Save the Whale movement. Ken, let me start by asking you what got you going on this at this time?
Well, I came out to the Science Center looking for a project for my Eagle Award, and the whale was mentioned. And before I even left the meeting that first day, we already had a lot of interesting ideas as to how to get going and also what we wanted to do. And it was a great project. I thought it was a wonderful idea because it's something that lots of people get involved in, lots of people see, and I thought it'd be a great project to do.
All right, Rob, what are you doing besides putting a new coat of well, I don't know. Tell us what you're doing to make it.
Well, we're putting on a new coat of Thoroseal, which was donated by the people who donated a lot of the products in the first place, the Harris Company of New Britain. And now we're putting on a thin coat of cement, and we've colored it black so as to represent the color of the sperm whale. And later on, we'll be putting on a white epoxy paint around the mouth and to represent the little barnacles that are on there.
On the underside too, the
belly.
Underside,
yeah, a little bit of that, and we'll be decorating that. And then finally, we'll be putting on a glaze to give it the wet look. It'll be as shiny as can be, and it'll look very good. And then later on, we'll be building a sidewalk and landscaping and getting ready for a June opening.
Now this whale has been here for thousands of school kids coming to visit, and people from around the world, literally, for 20 years now. Ken, what are the new elements that are going to add something special to it at this point?
Our future plans that we're starting on now involve inserting a spouting system to make the whale shoot out water out of the blowhole, and we're also installing a stereo system inside to play the actual sounds of a sperm whale throughout the whale itself.
That sounds great. Now, this is all hopefully going to be accomplished between now and what is the date for the rededication
it's been
celebration?
June 15th.
June 15th. So we'll try to continue to take some pictures of the progress of this project, but it's a very upbeat thing, and we're very excited about this new look for CONNY and for the Science Center of Connecticut and for the Cetacean Society International.
As the work progressed, attention was turned to laying out the forms and spreading the gravel foundation, and then pouring the concrete for a new, handicap-accessible, sloping walkway leading up to the east side of the whale. The stout-hearted mainstays of the walkway cementing process were engineer Robert Victor, Eagle Scout candidate Ken Thickman, and Ken's father, Stuart Thickman.
We'll see where all the low spots are, and then Reese can help us find it.
Another volunteer worker was longtime Cetacean Society member Paul Knapp, Jr. CONNY is actually a giant hollow shell of reinforced concrete with two large open doorways on one side. The cave-like interior of the whale required a new cement floor to accommodate visitors passing through from one doorway to the other. Inside the cavernous head, a small light spot in the upper left shows where CONNY's blowhole is located. The distance is nearly 60 feet from the front of the head all the way back up to the tail cavity. Smoothing off this broad cement floor was a challenging task.
Pretty good.
Victor could go around the world building whales. he's very, very good. He did a great job on this.
To give a more realistic appearance to the outside of the whale, in the days just before the rededication ceremonies, white paint was applied to CONNY's mouth and giant multi-toothed lower jaw, and marks were added to the sides of the whale's head to simulate scars from reported fights with other whales and giant squid. Finally, the big day arrived. Saturday, June 15th, 1996. And in mid-morning, invited guests and families from all over the greater Hartford area began arriving to be on hand for the special festivities marking this new era for Connecticut's state animal model. People involved in this rededication of CONNY, this great celebration on June 15th, 1976. Let's see, who's over there on the left of the screen?
That's Hank.
Hank who?
Hank Groner.
What's your role, Hank?
Oh, I'm the Director of Education here at the Science Center.
And who's out in the middle?
Don Cinetti.
And what's your role, Donnie?
For the rededication, I've done some artwork, and I'm going to be doing some sea music today.
Okay, and who's this over here?
Len Specht.
And what's your part of the
Director
picture?
of the Jangris Planetarium and a friend of Connie.
And what's going on this afternoon in the planetarium?
We're going to have humpback whale songs accompanied by laser light shows.
Great. Well, it looks like the weather is perfect today, and pretty soon we see that great big Leviathan up there spouting.
Hi, Ken, how you doing?
All right, who's this Eagle Scout candidate here? What's been your role?
Well, I've helped a lot on the project. I've made sure we had workers for most of the weekends. I've been here helping to get funds and also helping to make sure everything ran smoothly, I guess.
And your name is?
Ken Thickman,
And where are you from, Ken?
Glastonbury, Connecticut.
All right, good luck now.
Thank you.
Now, who's this with the dark coat and the dark glasses? We don't recognize you in that outfit.
It's a whale engineer.
And what's your name
Bob
again?
Victor, the whale engineer.
And how much time have you been spending here getting this ready, Bob?
Way too much time getting this ready. But whatever it took, we gave it. That's it.
And now we got the big climax on June 15th.
Yeah,
and everything's coming into place.
Seven Seas Junior Day.
Right. Great. Who's this young man?
And this is Robert Victor Jr. He was 10 years old on the original Seven Seas Day.
Yep.
And now he's
So you put
about
on
to be
some of the
30 years
cement originally 20 years ago?
20 years ago. Good to see it
Terrific.
again. Looks just as good now. Looks better now. Than
That's
20
right,
years
better.
ago. Better. Does look better now.
Original builders, cement layers. What's your name?
I'm Ed Wadstrom. Well, I worked on this whale some 20 years ago with on the Great Day, especially.
You sure did. Okay.
Great.
A television news crew from Channel 30, WVIT, was on hand to broadcast live from the scene the story of Connie getting a spout. It was truly an intergenerational gathering outside the entrance to the Science Center that morning. It included longtime friends from the Cetacean Society recalling the climactic day 20 years earlier when they had first covered with 15 tons of cement this unique permanent ferrocement landmark structure.
That's right, that's right.
The crowd also included many young children enjoying the excitement of seeing this wondrous Leviathan for the first time, resplendent in the sunlight with its shining new coat of paint. The master of ceremonies for the day was Edward Foran, Jr., the operations director for the Science Center, who welcomed everyone and introduced various dignitaries.
Living on our lawn here for 20 years.
20 years ago, a number of volunteers worked very, very hard for weeks and months, pouring 15 tons of cement and working, I guess, over 5,000 hours to put together CONNY. It's the largest whale, and this is the only full-scale whale of its kind anywhere in the world, sitting right here on our lawn at the Science Center. And because of the dedicated people from the Cetacean Society International, who were so much the inspiration behind this project, and our whale lovers from way back, this whale is really as correct as any you could possibly imagine outside of being in the water. The markings you see are correct in the white mouth and all the rest of it, and that will be explained by others as we go forward. This is a very special time for us because this is CONNY, and the renovation of CONNY is part of a wide-scale total refurbishment and revitalization of the Science Center here that we've been doing in the last year or so, that we will continue to do on into the future. We're looking to make this the best small science center in America, and also prepare a way to raise the funds necessary to have a first-class, state-of-the-art science center on the banks of the Connecticut River in the years ahead. Anybody who's been around here during vacation times knows that as wonderful as this facility is, it's too small, it's inadequate. We can't do well enough by the children of the state. But right now, while we are here, we're going to do our best and make it wonderful. What I want to do is introduce a couple people to say a few words and to read a couple of proclamations, and who knows, we may even have a special guest or two that we weren't expecting. But let me start off by introducing the President of the Board of Trustees for the Science Center of Connecticut, and say a few words, Rich Wasserman. Rich?
Thank you very much, Ed. It's a pleasure to be here, and I thank you all for coming out for this very important day for the Science Center. There has been a recent Save the Whale campaign in Connecticut that perhaps went reasonably well, but I think you would all agree that this one has gone spectacularly well. And I'd like to thank Ed and all of the volunteers who have made this a reality for us. There are many people here today to thank, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave that to Ed, since he has the long list. I'm afraid I would forget some people. But I thank you for coming out today on an important day for us. I have a feeling today that this is a very important step for us, and one that we're going to look back and conclude is a bright day for the Science Center and one of our big steps forward. Thank you again for coming, and I hope you enjoy the day. And what I'd like to do now is introduce Robin Barstow, who is the President Emeritus of the Cetacean Society International, to make a presentation to Rich. Robbins?
20 years ago, when we built this great whale, with 5,000 hours of volunteer labor over a period of a whole year, I took movies documenting the whole process from beginning to end, and we have now put together a videotape, the building of CONNY. And I want to make a presentation of this videotape, the whole story, give it to the Science Center, and it'll be part of your archives here.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you, Rick. There's obviously a lot of electricity going through his body or something. I don't know what, maybe I'm dead, I don't know, but it seems to be working all right. What I'd like to do now is introduce another member of our Board of Trustees, who's also a member of the Town Council of West Hartford, who's going to read a proclamation from the Mayor of West Hartford. So, Pat McCabe, can you come out and join us? Thank you.
Thank you, Ed, and I'll bring you the official greetings of the town of West Hartford today. The Science Center is a favorite place for many people in this town. I've been involved as a member of the board for a number of years, and before I read the proclamation from our town, I want to point out the terrific work of Ed Ferran and the gentleman just heard from Rich Wasserman on the Science Center and on the things to come. This is just one of many exciting things that you're going to see over the next few years. Both of you are doing such a terrific job, and you really deserve a lot of thanks from everyone. Okay, June 15th, 1996, public ceremonies. are held at the Science Center on Troutbrook Drive in West Hartford to rededicate Connie as a continuing symbol of conservation and a dramatic stimulus for education. Now therefore, I, Mayor Nan Glass, Mayor of West Hartford, do hereby proclaim Saturday, June 15, 1996, as Connie Whale Rededication Day in West Hartford, and in the interest of public education and conservation, urge public support for the renewed mission of this dramatic and informative exhibit to raise people's consciousness about the wonder of whales and the importance of it being permanently conserved and protected worldwide. Signed, Mayor Nan Glass, Town of West Hartford.
The original ones are all framed and hanging on our wall in there, so hopefully we'll take a look at them. I have another wonderful statement, which I don't need to read through, but basically said just about the same thing that Nan Glass's statement said. But it's a wonderful official statement about the Connecticut Whale Rededication Day, not only in West Hartford, but in the entire state of Connecticut, courtesy of our Governor, John Rowland. So thank you, Governor, very, very much. Very interested in both the Science Center is here in the coming years in West Hartford, and also, of course, interested in its renewal and its being built in a state-of-the-art facility in East Hartford on the banks of the Connecticut River in the years ahead. And when Bob shows up, we'll have him say a few words. I'd like to introduce now the president of the organization that really has been so critical and so vital to this whole operation, and they are just wonderful friends for the whales throughout the world, and it's a good thing whales have such friends. Let me introduce to you the president of the Cetacean Society, Bill Rossiter. Bill.
Folks, this tie only comes out on very special occasions. We've had it a long time, whale tie. And there are a lot of CSI people here today also. You probably have never heard of us. I hope you have. There's some information on the table there that can tell you something about us. We're small in Hartford, or centered here. We have representatives in 28 countries, and all volunteer. It's that simple. When this whale was made, it was made as a real copy of a real problem. Sperm whales were being killed all over the world. Today, the major scientific alert is that this species, sperm whales, are dying in the North Atlantic, and we don't know why. They're showing up on the surface. There's something wrong with the system, and these whales are dying. Several hundred have been reported. We're trying to find out the details. It's one of the continuing mysteries of human impact, which is what CSI is all about. There's thousands of dolphins that are killed at the hands of men. The right whales right now, this crowd here is half the population of all the right whales in the North Atlantic Ocean. There are only 300 left. We're trying to save those as well. If you care to help, as I said, we're all about volunteerism. That little table back there also has a point of volunteerism from one of our board members, Paul Knapp. He goes down to have the only whale listening tours in the entire world in Tortola. And some of the outstanding humpback whale tapes we've got are right back there. Now, I have a very special privilege, if I may. On very, very special occasions when this tie comes out, CSI is very proud to present to certain individuals what we call a cetacean citation. Ken, are you here? I'd like to introduce Ken Fickman, the Eagle Scout. This young gentleman offered us the possibility of doing the time over again, and I thank you very much. It's given to you from our hearts. Thank you on behalf of the world. You are a credit to this fact. Thank you very much. And now, if I may also, I have another volunteer, board member of CSI to thank. This is again the spirit of volunteerism. We had within our board the expert in feral concrete, the man with the engineering skills, put together the drawings, do all the construction of this whale 20 years ago. Still alive and well today, looking younger, by the way, than he did then. Bob Victor, are you around, sir? Here he comes. On behalf of the Cetacean Society National, I'll give you another cetacean citation. Great pride for the courtesy of the privilege you've given us, and these people together, and awareness of the whale problem.
Thank you for inviting me here today, and I look forward to this day for quite a while. Although we know that thousands of whales have been killed since the 1980s moratorium by the fleets of Japan and Norway, we certainly need to raise everybody's awareness that the whales are alive and they continue to be alive. And certainly brought Connie back to life with a new coating, and thanks to the generosity of the Toro Company, manufacturing of the new skin, and the A. Harris Company in Britain, Connecticut, who generously donated many of the tools and things that we needed. So it's been a big contribution. They also contributed 20 years ago, so they have continued to contribute. And I know I got involved nearly 21 years ago when I promoted engineer for the Public Bridge at West Cornwall. So Robbins found me and asked me to take this project on, and I've taken on a lot more than I ever thought I would. But it's a fully designed, engineered building, and capable of holding by the occupancy boat 29 people, and it's capable of withstanding hurricane winds and looking beautiful all through all of that. So I hope you enjoy this facility. I know I have over the years, and of course, everybody that knows me says it's my whale. So because they point out my bridges and it's been a pleasure to work here in Connecticut for 30 years on making things for people every day. You probably don't realize that anymore, but certainly I hope you know that one of my fathers, once you shave his back, Connie the whale.
With us a man who has a great interest in the Science Center of Connecticut and a great interest in Connie. He's interested in making sure that while we're here in West Hartford, this facility is as strong as it possibly can be. He's a member of our board of directors, and of course he's very interested in being a part, leading the drive to create a world-class, state-of-the-art Science Center in Connecticut in the years ahead. It's a great pleasure for me. He brought his young daughters with him too, to introduce to you the mayor of East Hartford, Bob DiCrescenzo. Bob?
I wouldn't think of coming to the Science Center without bringing my daughters, Rebecca and Haley. Trouble's going to be getting them away from here this afternoon. But I'd just like to say on behalf of East Hartford, we celebrate the renovation of Connie, and East Hartford's a great Science Center supporter. Regardless of where it's located, West Hartford, East Hartford, doesn't matter. It's a great facility. And congratulations on the fine work you've been doing here. Catching up with West Hartford facility. Thank you.
Thank you. You never know who's going to show up at events like this, and I see that we have what appears to be Mark Twain, and I just wonder, should we ask Sam Clemens to say a few words? What do you think? Might say a few words for us, Sam?
You'd like me to say a few words? Well, I want you to know that Mark Twain has never declined an invitation to say a few words in public, no matter what century this may be. I must have been asleep for quite some time because I got sort of a beard on my face here, I guess, but it looks to me from things around here that I've turned out to be a Connecticut Yankee in King Neptune's court. Well, I understand that these ceremonies are being held to celebrate and honor the largest brained creature on Earth. Now, don't any of you human beings think that I'm referring to you. Oh, no, that's not the case at all. The largest brained creature ever to have inhabited our small planet is known as the sperm whale. Our puny human brains only weigh 4 or 5 pounds, but the brain of the sperm whale weighs up to 20 pounds. I don't know whether he makes better use of his brain than we do of ours, but at least he's got sense enough to live in the water, not up on dry land. Actually, you know, the state of Connecticut owes a great deal to this benign, benighted beast here in the 1840s. Connecticut was second only to Massachusetts as a whale hunting state, and New London was second only to New Bedford as a whaling port. As a matter of fact, at one time there were more millionaires in New London than in any other place in the country on account of the profits that they made from the whaling industry. When they sent these badly paid crews sailing on their tall, masted ships, hunting sperm whales all over the world. Have you ever been down there in New London? and see where the millionaire owners lived in those great big white pillared houses on Whalers Row? Well, it was all due to the special kind of oil that they got only from the great big head of this here Leviathan. It was called spermaceti oil, and it burned in lamps and candles without making smoke. Now, some people object to smoke from my cigar. Well, I want to tell you, this smoke doesn't equal the candle to the smoke that came from burning ordinary whale oil in lamps, like they used around the world when I was growing up, before they had fancy artificial illumination. And that's what made sperm whale oil so valuable. Unlike me, it was smokeless. Well, by the way, I suppose we might as well come right out and acknowledge it, too. What our more imaginative and less enlightened predecessors thought was the sperm of the whale, because this special waxy spermaceti oil looks a lot like semen, it actually has nothing to do physiologically with the whale's sex life. It's all in his head. But we still call this whale the sperm whale. Now, my fellow author, Herman Melville, who wrote about sperm whales in Moby Dick, called this animal the most formidable of all whales to encounter, the most majestic in aspect, and by far the most valuable in commerce, he being the only creature from which that valuable substance spermaceti is obtained. Well, my friends, satisfactory substitutes have been developed for spermaceti and for all the other physical products of whales. But there is no substitute for the majesty of this aspect. And I say we need to keep these creatures alive and protected in all the oceans of the world, if for no other reason than to give humankind a proper sense of humility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Give a great hand to Mark Twain. It's quite an effort to come back from the other side, so thank you, Mark. Terrific job. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment we've been waiting for. You know, Connie has been sitting here for 20 years and basically just been sitting. And Connie's going to be doing something a little different now, and it's an awkward moment. He's 20 years old, he's never spouted, and takes a lot of guts, particularly in front of people. So we need to have you all help him. Now, when you go into the whale later, you're going to know that the sound of the whale, the sperm whale, is like a click, snapping your fingers. So what I'm going to ask all of you to do, particularly the youngest ones among us, but all of us, is to click your fingers together and just encourage Connie, let him know that he's among friends, and that if we do this and he's aware that he's among friends, that he's going to do what he hasn't done before, and that's to spout. And after he starts spouting, he's going to spout like in the wild, every 20 minutes, 6 times at a time, and he'll be a real full-fledged, mature whale. So keep that clicking. I can't hear it. I don't know if Connie can. All right, Connie, do your thing. All right. Gonna get some folks gonna get wet down there.
Unlike other whales, the sperm whale has only a single blowhole, located, strangely, on the left top of its forehead. When sperm whales come to the surface of the ocean to breathe, they first spout out the stale air from their giant lungs, like this, and then inhale fresh air through this blowhole.
So we want you all to enjoy. We have a great day here for you, and what I want to do now is to turn this over to a man who, as I said, is
troubadour who's going to regale us with some sea shanties. But before I do that, his name is Don Sinetti. He's a great man, he's been a great supporter over the years of this project. And after Don is finished, we invite you to come into the Science Center. We have an afternoon of movies about whales. We have a special laser program about humpback whales. And of course, Connie is going to be doing his thing out here. It's a great day at the Science Center. A lot of the memorabilia about Connie is available in our Explore store, so we hope that you'll stop by there. In any event, I can't thank you enough for being part of this renaissance of this facility, and we look forward to seeing each and every one of you often as possible to enjoy Connie and all of our attractions here at the Science Center of Connecticut. So, Don, I'll turn it over to you. Where are you, Don?
To this very, very special day, even though some of those pictures of the 20 years ago are quite revealing. But anyway, a couple things I want to mention too is Len, who worked with me on these graphics, did just an incredible job, and I am so happy that he maintained the traditional look of my art. And it's on mugs, it's on T-shirts, it's on all sorts of things around here. So please be sure to go in and see what Len has done in presenting my artwork as part of the new CONNY display. I would also point out that Cetacean Society International, we have our booth back here where we have informational stuff. We have some products there that you might be interested in seeing. There is a petition also, so please join our Cetacean Society International booth. Now, as far as what I'm singing are some modern-day sea songs, some Save the Whales songs, and the man who sang these on board the sailing ship in 1800 was known as the shanty man, and he would lead the singing of the songs to raise the sails and things, and they would have sounded something like this. When I was a little lad, he showed me, master told me, hey, way, haul away, well, haul away, Joe. Now, that would have been and you would have hauled on the Joe. But when the Save the Whale movement started, we thought maybe we can use this kind of sea music to let people know about whales, to educate about whales. So we started writing songs about whales. This first one is to the old Irish coachman who roused in the boat. It's called the Connecticut Whaler. I've traveled all over the oceans, a-hunting and a-searching for whales. And now I've returned to old Mystic, so you listen and heed this sad tale. You listen and heed this sad tale. You listen and heed this sad tale. But now I've returned to old Mystic, so you listen and heed this sad tale. I've sailed far into the Arctic and off of the Bermuda shore, where once there were hundreds and thousands, and now there are less than a score. And now there are less than a score. And now there are less than a score. Where once there were hundreds of thousands, and now there are less than a score. They died from the harpooner's cannon. They died to put oil in our lamps. They died to bind women in corsets, and they died to put perfume on vamps. They died to put perfume on vamps. They died to put perfume on vamps. They died to bind women in corsets, and they died to put perfume on vamps. London and Mystic are quiet. They've heard the great whale's lonely plea. But still the killing continues. We must have peace on the sea. We must have peace on the sea. We must end. And let us return to the oceans as humans, the whale's good friend. As humans, the whale's good friend. As humans, the whale's good friend. And let us return to the oceans as humans, the whale's good friend. As humans, the whale's good friend. As humans, the whale's good friend. And let us return to the oceans as humans, the whale's good friend. There we go. That's the Connecticut whaler. I should point out that Stan Hugo was a legendary shantyman, perhaps the last of the actual working shantyman. He wrote great books on the subject and everything. And he said, if you need a microphone, you're not a shantyman, you're a folk singer. He said, Don Sinetti, you're a shantyman. So this is a tradition we're keeping here. This next one we're going to do is kind of fun because it talks about the different species of whales. And this one is really, I must admit, it's kind of, for me, a real thrill when I go into schools all over the Northeast coast and hear kids singing this song. They've learned it. They've learned it from the tape and stuff. So it's nice to know that this song has become a little bit of a tradition in a way. It's called the Kinetic. No, it's called the what is it called? The Song of the Winds. So here we go. And this one goes in this windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we'll all go together. I steal these melodies from these old Irish songs.
Fix my sunglasses. This stuck my neck.
Here we go. In this windy old weather, stormy old weather, when the wind blows, we'll all go. Great job, wonderful. Oh, up jumped a humpback, singing his song, jumping and laughing and splashing along. In this windy old weather, stormy old weather, come to the top where the 50-foot squid in this windy old weather, stormy old weather, when the wind blows, we'll all go together. And up jumped the right whale, you've left such a few, I sailed the world over and only saw two in this windy old weather, stormy old weather. Swimming, riding, chasing a school of 1,000 herring in this windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we'll all go together. Great job, man. And up jumped a dolphin with her bottle nose. Oh, she's a good friend that everyone knows in this windy old weather. Stormy old weather, when the wind blows, we'll all go together. Now one for Willie. And then come the orca, the killer they claim, but it's the whalers that deserve that name. In this windy old weather, stormy old weather, when the wind blows, we'll all go together. We all must agree that killing no whale stop. Let them live free in this windy old weather, stormy old weather. When the wind blows, we'll all go together. Now one final time, here we go now. So the leaders of the nations, we all must agree that killing no whales stop. And, yes, you got it, Lee. Thank you very much. So two more contemporary songs involving humans and the sea and the whales that live in them.
Where's Grandpa?
Thank you. Thanks for coming by.
Going in?
So did you leave it through the catch this afternoon?
Thank you.
Going to watch the movie.
A photographer from the Hartford Courant climbed to the top of Connie's head to take a photo through the spout of children on the ground below playing in the spray. His photo was published the next day on the front page of the paper.
Oh, what is it?
Listen, you gonna wave?
And so, outside the Science Center entrance, there now stands the new Connie, Connecticut's unique symbol of conservation and education, ready for all to come and experience with a fresh view this awesome wonder.
More of Robin Sparstow's whale documentaries are available on the BTA Films channel on YouTube. Click here to subscribe or follow these links to other films by a master of home movie storytelling in the pre-digital era.